Oh, this is Mr. Hornby 83. This is the Mr. Hornby 83 show, and today I'm finally getting a video out of the way that I've been putting on for nearly 3 weeks now. And that is action movies that gave us dream fights. What I'm going to start off with is one that, even though one of these guys were not a big star at the time, they weren't really considered a big star. And they didn't reach the stardom until after they had done this movie. But the first movie that gave us a dream match or a dream fight in a movie was Way of the Dragon, starring Bruce Lee. We saw at the end that Chuck Norris was the enemy he was fighting at the end. That may have been at the end. I don't know. I've never seen the movie. I'd have to ask my dad on that one, but or one of my father-in-laws. But yeah. Way of the Dragon, which had, which was, I think, one of Bruce Lee's final movies before he passed away. He did Way of the Dragon, then he did, I think, Enter the Dragon, then he passed away or something like that. But, yeah, so Way of the Dragon is one of them. And like I said, I don't know too much about the movie. I never really saw it. I didn't even know Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee had fought. I didn't realize Chuck Norris was around that long. I thought he was like Schwarzenegger and them and was mostly around in the 80s, but, But, yeah. So, yeah. Next one. This one might seem odd to some people that I'm picking this, but, but I figure, these two guys were big iconic figures at the time. One from something else, and the other was a big action movie star, which was Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Jesse Ventura in The Running Man. Now, the thing about this fight that weighs it down oh yeah, by the way, I'm not putting these in no particular order, and I'll do the little warning thing at the end of the video. But, in particular, there was no, one of the things that really weighs this fight down is technically not Schwarzenegger's character fighting Jesse Ventura's character, because it's a computer generation thing, and Schwarzenegger pretty much was somewhere else when they were showing that, and they kill him off. Ventura had already quit as a stalker on the Running Man show because he had a disagreement with Killian. So yeah. All right. Next up was let's see. This one's a little lower. I mean, like I said, they're not in no particular order, but next one I have is Steven Seagal versus Michael Jai White in Exit Wounds. Almost forgot the name of the movie, but the only issue I had with this fight at the end of the movie was also seeing Michael Jai White taking on Steven Seagal. And yeah, some of these dream fights happen at the tail end of these guys' careers, or where it's like at the tail end of some of these guys' careers while other guys were going on to do other things. But, and this was pretty much a tail end of Steven Seagal's career. Now, yeah, he still does a bunch of movies, but, his movies are straight to video, and I believe this was the last, aside from the first Machete movie, this was the last Steven Seagal movie to go to theaters. And I remember I went and seen it at the Wilder Theater over there in Wilder. And the most exciting part for me was seeing the Michael Jai White, Steven Seagal fight at the end. Another issue I have with this fight, though, even though Steven Seagal was pretty much getting past his prime at this point, is the fact that they kind of copied the Mark for Death fight that he had with Screwface and Screwface's brother at the end of Mark for Death. Now, the fight with Screwface's brother was a little bit better than the freaking Screwface fight, because he pretty much dominated Screwface and wiped him out easily. But yeah, so I didn't like that they freaking did that. And honestly, I felt like that really weighed the fight down a little bit. Although that's the main reason. I mean, I know the big build toward this movie was Steven Seagal versus DMX, but the real true main event was Steven Seagal versus Michael Jai White. So yeah, pretty good. I still love the movie, and the fight scenes what really keeps me sold on it. All right, this next one is because both of these guys were older. Now, had this happened 2 decades earlier, or maybe even a decade earlier, it might be a little bit higher than where I have it ranked right now. But Sylvester Stallone versus Jean-Claude Van Damme in The Expendables 2. You could also say Stallone against freaking Mel Gibson was also. But I felt the Stallone against Mel Gibson fight wasn't as good as the Stallone against Van Damme. I mean, it was like, Gibson and freaking Stallone couldn't put on as good of a fight as Van Damme and Stallone did in Expendables 2. And, if you can't get, honestly, a lot of people's like, well, the big fight should have been Schwarzenegger versus, Stallone in the movie. But if you can't get Schwarzenegger versus Stallone, the next best thing is Schwarzenegger versus Van Damme. That'd be like freaking, like people want to see Chuck Norris and Van Damme go at it in a movie. Or people want to see freaking, Van Damme and Steven Seagal go at it in a movie. Now, that may never happen because you know how Steven Seagal is. I'm sure Chuck Norris wouldn't mind doing a movie where he's fighting Van Damme in it. But, yeah, and plus, Van Damme, I think as far as the Expendable villains go, I think Van Damme was the best villain in the Expendables movies. I did not like Mel Gibson too much in the frickin' third one. I've never been a big fan of Eric Roberts. Except for the best of the best movies, I really don't care too much for Eric Roberts. Now, Eric Roberts is in a movie I'm going to be featuring soon for my next DVD/Blu-ray/VHS commentary, which I'll be doing on Facebook. But, I just felt like Van Damme was the best villain in the Expendables universe. Second best of that was probably freaking Stone Cold Steve Austin's character in the first one. He was the hired muscle for Eric Roberts' character, so yeah. Next one, and I was just talking about Schwarzenegger and Stallone getting a fight. Well, we did get to see Schwarzenegger and Stallone go at it. It was a short fight. It was a way for them to distract guards or whatever. But the escape plan with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone fighting to distract the guards so they can get the keys away from them. And so we finally got that Stallone-Schwarzenegger big showdown. Even though, one, it was short, and two, I wish it would have lasted longer. But what can you do? We did get that fight, though. Alright, next up is the Dwayne Johnson versus the Jason Statham character, Hobbs and Shaw, going up against each other in Furious 7. The reason why I got this where I'm talking about right now is because, look, so many of these fights I was excited for. I wasn't really too excited about this one. I didn't really care about this fight, but the fight we got at the end I did care about because I felt like those guys were bigger names in action at the time than Dwayne Johnson was. Dwayne Johnson had done it not just because he did a number of different movies, but also because he used to be a wrestler. So, and usually wrestler movies aren't that great unless, Roddy Piper, he had a couple good ones. Dwayne Johnson's had a good number of good ones. But I just felt like, this fight was just the appetizer to the true main event in Furious 7, which I'll get to later on in the video. So, yeah. Jason Statham's character versus Dwayne Johnson's character in Furious 7. And, it was still a good fight. But, we did see a rock bottom. Here's one I didn't think I'd say, but then now that I think about it, it makes sense, kinda. And it might be, but Rowdy Piper versus Keith David, and they live. When they were fighting, when Piper's trying to get him to put on the glasses so that he could see. Well, that's not really an action movie. It's kind of a horror sci-fi. So, I'll throw that one out. Yeah, let's get that one out. Nah, that one don't count. So yeah. Next up, we have Jean-Claude Van Damme versus Dolph Lundgren in Universal Soldier. The first Universal Soldier movie. There was a couple after that one, and then they had The Return. So, and I thought one of the highlights of the first Universal Soldiers movie was, Dolph Lundgren's character. He was freaking psychotic. He was a complete psychopath who freaking totally went crazy. And truly, just, whoo. He went gaga. He was even killing his own men. Then when his men got blown up by Van Damme and them, he's sitting there dragging them into an ice box and yelling at them, even though they're dead at that point. I mean, just seeing those two, and at the time they were both somewhat big stars. I mean, Van Damme was a big action star, and so was Dolph Lundgren at the time. So, yeah, they were pretty big stars at the time they did Universal Soldiers. Not like both these guys had just come off of one or two movies. They had done a bunch of movies. So, yeah. So, there you go. Another one, and this is another movie I did not see, but I'm guessing some point in the movie, freaking Brandon Lee and freaking Dolph Lundgren went at it, but I think it was called Little China, Little Tokyo, something like that. We had Lundgren and Brandon Lee, I guess, facing off, which I guess counts as a freaking action movie. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie. I don't know if they fought, but if they did, I'm putting that on the list. Might as well. I mean, heck. It's a big thing. Another fight. I don't know if this was necessarily a dream one because Keanu Reeves had done so many different movies at the time. Like, he had done action, he had done drama, he had done horror, he had done comedy, he had done adventure, all that stuff. Patrick Swayze, he was the same boat. He did some comedy, did some horror, did some drama, all that stuff. But I guess, Patrick Swayze versus Keanu Reeves in one of the greatest guy movies ever. The guy movie, the ultimate guy movie, which I've called it numerous times. Not that crappy remake one either. The original one, Point Break. Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if Point Break's an action movie, but, I know, both guys had done action prior to doing Point Break. And I was never a big Swayze fan. I was a little bit of a Keanu Reeves fan, but not a super duper big fan. So, yeah. But when Point Break came out, it was one of the greatest movies ever. So, yeah. And the ultimate guy movie ever. I don't think any movie can top it. Unless you want to say Fast and Furious, but I don't even think Fast and Furious tops it. The, ultimate guy movie ever. If you saw my list a couple years ago, I had Point Break at number 1. I would do the Rockies, but those count kind of as drama, so they're not really action, they're drama, because you had Carl Weathers versus, Sylvester Stallone in that, Apollo Creed versus Rocky. You have Mr. T versus Rocky, Clubber Lang, and Dolph Lundgren was also a part of the freaking Rocky series with Sylvester Stallone, but I think the Rocky movies are more considered a drama type movie, so yeah. So that's why I'm not putting any fights in the Rocky movies, even though it is a sports movie, or it could go into the sports section of movies too, since it's about still my favorite, fighting sport ever, boxing. So got a couple more. Like I said, I could go on and on and on about a ton of action movies that did eventually give us dream matches. I think I pretty much named all the ones I thought of, though. I could go with Machete. That's kind of an action movie. And you had Steven Seagal versus freaking Danny Trejo. But really, is Danny Trejo really a big-time action star? He's done so many different range of movies. But, if I'm counting Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, might as well count freaking, Danny Trejo versus Steven Seagal, even though that fight was a weird, awkward ending fight. So, yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll have Machete, the first one. Now, I would say Machete 2, but Mel Gibson didn't fight with him. Should I do Lethal Weapon? I don't think I should do Lethal Weapon either, because Gary Busey wasn't really known as an action star. He had done a variety of different movies. Mel Gibson, on the other hand, was an action star at the time. I mean, and if you've seen the first Lethal Weapon, you see the big Gary Busey. I might do that one in a new segment I'll call Psycho Fights with Psycho Crazy Characters. Or psycho actors who play psycho crazy characters in movies. You know. But yeah, so alright. So I guess these last few are the ones I'll freaking end on. Next up, of course, y'all seen the live, and this was like the last live I did before I found out my mom passed, and at the time I was doing it and posting it to my Facebook page. Apparently my mom had passed at that time, and that was on my old page. And in honor of my mom, and when I found out about my mom passing, well, I had trouble posting it, but in honor of my mom passing, I just didn't flip that one over to my main Facebook page. I just left it on there. But Universal Soldiers: The Return, I really, the Michael Jai White fight and freaking Jean-Claude Van Damme fight. They're both martial artists. They both knew what to do. They were just freaking killing each other. And again, the big hype was that we were going to see Van Damme versus Goldberg in that movie. But honestly, again, like with the DMX Steven Seagal situation, I didn't care about DMX ending up turning out to be the good guy in the end. My focus was the fight between Steven Seagal and freaking Michael Jai White's character. And that's the same here with Seth and freaking Luke Devereaux fighting at the end. Even though I felt like they ripped off another movie, which I'm getting ready to mention after I get to the one before that one. I feel like they ripped off another action movie that did pretty much the same ending. But, still, it was just awesome seeing Michael Jai White versus freaking Jean-Claude Van Damme in Universal Soldiers: The Return. Whether it was the third or fourth one, I don't know. I think there was one more after, one more before The Return. There might have been two more before The Return. I don't know. But anyway, seeing that fight really was awesome. Alright, so these next two are ones that I really was juiced to see, especially. It's probably one of the main reasons why I still watch the movie to this day. And that is, well, one's the reason why I went, but, and the reason why I probably said this movie was probably the best in the series. I talked about a fight from this movie earlier that I wasn't too keen on, but I was keen on this fight right here. Vin Diesel versus Jason Statham in Furious 7 at the end. Oh, man. What a great, especially for current action fans who, grew up around these eras of this time of action, which mostly has been comic books and that, but that grew up around this time of action, seeing Jason Statham and Vin Diesel, which were the two biggest names in action currently, just collide in the Furious 7 movie was just amazing to see. Ah, man, I had a total nerdgasm when I saw that, just like I did all these other fights I watched before that. But, yeah, seeing the freaking fight between Vin Diesel, especially that part where Vin Diesel just takes Jason Statham, lifts him up like a child and bashes him through a freaking car. That fight was just so awesome. That's one of the main reasons why I say the best two Fast and Furious movies they've done is, 7 and 8. Even though I like 7 a little bit more just because of the fight. 8 was pretty good too, though. But, we didn't get that Shaw and, Dom fight in 8. Yeah, so. Alright, so this last one I'm going to talk about is a movie I still watch to this day. In fact, recently when I was at the toy department, I was looking for the action figures that came out around the time this movie came out. Demolition Man, starring Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. Seeing Wesley Snipes, Sylvester Stallone, and Demolition and Universal Soldier Return pretty much stole the ending, just tweaked a couple minor things, but because their final fight was in the cryo prison, and then freaking Van Damme and them's final fight was in the area where all the soldiers would get their ice or whatever, get their cool down period or whatever. But seeing two big name action stars at the time, because Wesley Snipes had done a lot of big action now. Most notably, he was probably most noticed for at this time was probably for White Man Can't Jump, and freaking and New Jack City, which is an awesome movie as well. I love that movie. Especially the one part at the end where Ice-T is about to kill freaking Wesley Snipes' character. He's like, I wanted to kill you so bad, but he talks about a certain part of the anatomy being hard. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah. Lament, I want to kill you so bad it got my certain part of the anatomy hard. That's like that's a crazy freaking classic Ice-T line. Someone should make a meme of that. Maybe I should talk next when all this coronavirus crap calms down, and I go down to Newport for my ambassador thing. And if I see my cousin Brandon, I'll be like, hey, do a meme of the freaking part from New Jack City where Ice-T is about to kill Wesley Snipes' character in the movie. But yeah, but he did do movies like Passion 57. He was also he did some other action movies after that, and then he did a couple before that. And a couple years later, he ended up getting his biggest role, which was Blade. But yeah, Demolition Man takes the cake for the top, the cream of the crop because both of these guys were in their primes when they fought. Some of these movies that I talked about prior, one was either an up-and-coming star at the time, or, they were a little past their prime when it happened, especially with the Stallone Schwarzenegger. Because imagine, if they did a movie where Stallone and Schwarzenegger went at it in either the 80s or the 90s, that movie would be the top of the chart and would be cream of the crop of action movie dream fights. Because everybody wanted to see the Schwarzenegger Stallone thing. It was just like before WCW did the Hulk Hogan Ric Flair match. Everybody wanted to see the Ric Flair Hulk Hogan match. They finally got it when WCW did it. WWF had a chance to do it, but they screwed it all up. Which is, nothing new if you look at the current state of WWE right now. Yeah, so Demolition Man takes the cake because it was a really great movie. The fight between Wesley Snipes and Stallone was great. It even got copied by Universal Soldiers to Return. Well, the ending part did. But that is my thoughts on, action movies I gave a dream fight. If there's an action movie I missed, or maybe I haven't seen an action movie where there was a dream fight that happened, and there's a couple other movies that have had dream fights. You could do the, Sammo versus Jackie Chan. I forgot what freaking Jackie Chan movie that was, though. I don't know if it was Operation Condor or, one of the other movies. But, yeah. So let me know in the comments if I missed any action movies that had two big action stars going at it in it. But I think I pretty much covered most of them. It did give us the dream fight we wanted. I had to add a couple because I thought this would be a multi-parter, but I feel like I pretty much covered most of them. But if people tell me more in the comments, I'll freaking do another one down the road. Not this year, but maybe next year or the year after or something like that. But yeah. So this was kind of a revamp of the fight video I did. Best fight scene movies I did. Mixed them with, dream scenarios that we did get to see in action movies. So yeah. But yeah, if there's any action movies that I missed where two big action stars went at it in it, let me know, and I'll cover it in another video. I'll do a part 2 to this if there is that. If there's enough that I get feedback on. If there's enough of them. But yeah. Before I go, I want to do something I haven't done in a while. I haven't done no shout outs or anything. And, I really haven't kept to my schedule too much this year. I've just been you know, hammered with a lot of other things going on in my life that I just ain't really took in the time to do many YouTube videos. Like this video was supposed to happen several weeks ago, and it was supposed to happen last night, but I did the freaking the Viceland Benoit story thing. But so I'm gonna give a shout out to the Black Ops Killer, which is my son, and you did see him on the unboxing video I did where I got the freaking Ultimate Edition Triple H for him, which was finally an Attitude Era of Triple H. And then the Elite 71 Big Show, which was finally an Attitude Era figure of the Big Show. Mr. Fox, even though he don't do videos anymore, Gene, Bubs, Petty, I guess the third. You have Big Gene, then you have Little Gene, then you have, you know, Bubs. Yeah. So, check out his channel. His friend Jaden something. I can't think of the kid's last name. It's been a while since I've talked to him. I'd say about a month since the last time I seen him or talked to him. But yeah. Jaden. Not the Jaden I was talking about that owns CWE, but Bub's his friend Jaden. He's got a YouTube channel too. Jaden Avery, yeah. Jaden Avery, I believe it is. Yeah. Check out his channel. They do game videos and that. Just like my son, the Black Ops Killer, does. Like I said, I said Mr. Fox, but he ain't done no videos. He's probably gonna change his YouTube channel anyway. But Heavy Metal Turtle. Someone I haven't done in a while too, Ronnie Tomlinson, my wife's cousin Ronnie. He does YouTube videos pretty much almost every day and does a lot like my son James does for his Black Ops Killer channel. But, you know. I don't know. I'm just going to give a few. I'll give a birthday shout out to my Uncle Raleigh. Today's his birthday, so happy birthday, Uncle Raleigh. Now, tomorrow on Facebook, Wrestle Game Mania continues. And I will be doing a playthrough of WCW versus The World. Also, tomorrow's my great aunt's funeral, which on Facebook I talked about that. I also went on my Trigen page and talked about future plans for Trigen. But right now, everything's getting shut down, including the flea markets we were thinking about having our booth at this time. Hopefully, they'll be open and then we can, you know, run our booth there or whatever. But, you know, I also talked about my great aunt passing away. Tomorrow's her funeral. I'm gonna, you know, because of this coronavirus, they're only inviting a certain amount of people to come. So what I'm gonna do, since I'm not gonna be able to go, I mean, I did get to pay my last respects to her, and I did grieve her a lot when she was in the hospital last year, her and my grandma. And, you know, while they were sick in the hospital, but my aunt got better and got out. My grandma, she got a little bit better, but then by the end of last year, she was gone. But, you know, so tomorrow I'm going to talk about my fondest memories with my great aunt while I'm doing the playthrough. Instead of just talking about random stuff. I might throw a few random things in, but I'm going to talk about, you know, great times I had with my great aunt. You know, since I am not one of the ones that can go, I think it's only going to be her kids and her grandkids there. So I'm going to do a little, you know, talk about, and one involves my grandma and her that I'll be talking about. You know, and sure someone that'll watch that'll know will remember that as well, because he was with me when it happened. But yeah, so talk about some fond moments I have with my great aunt. You know, like I said, I probably won't get too emotional because I did grieve them a lot last year. You know, and I was emotional then, but you know. But that'll do it. Please like this video, leave a comment, subscribe for more. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Hornsby83. Follow me on Facebook at the Mr. Hornsby A3 Show Facebook fan page, and follow my Trigen Toys page, and you can see what all I said about future plans and, you know, for my business for right now, because can't do nothing with this coronavirus crap, and with Cincinnati being on lockdown, can't really do nothing anyway. But that'll do it. Like I said, let me know if there's any action movies I missed that had two big action stars going at it in it. I mean, people might throw out Assassins, but, well, you know, I can understand because it did have two big action stars at the time. But catch you guys later. Peace out. Oh, yeah. Warning, this is not for kids under the age of 13. Sorry I didn't do it at the beginning of the video. I just wanted to start this video and get through. Plus, I was watching a movie and there with my wife that I want to catch the ending to. So, yeah. Catch you guys later. Peace out.